Namaste, I'm Dhruvika, design team member at Craft Angles. Today I bring three beautiful cards that you can create just in minutes for a beautiful Valentine's Day. So in my three cards, my major elements will be the stamp set by Craft Angles called Hug Me and the Heartful stencils. To create the first card, I'll be taking a panel which measures 4 and a quarter and 5.5 inches from the dual textured white cardstock, and I shall be affixing this stencil covering 3/4 of the panel. Once I'm completely sure about where I want it to be, I start in blending the Von Lipstick Distress Oxide using this beautiful blending brush by Craft Angles. Once I was happy with the blending, I peeled off the stencil and now it is time for a beautiful tip out here. I'm now going to watercolor these hearts. Yes, I'll be using the Craft Angles liquid watercolor in the shade Soulmate. And I'll start coloring only onto the one side of the heart. The perfect blend will be achieved by this beautiful watercolor that we have and the property of distress oxide of reacting with water, which blends so perfectly. So like this, the way I'm coloring this particular heart, I'm going to blend all of them using this Craft Angles liquid watercolor in the shade Soulmate. So this is how my panel looks. Now from the stamp set called Hug Me, I'm going to take this bunny and stamp it onto the watercolor paper. And I'm going to ink it with antique linen distress ink. Yes, I use it for the no line coloring. After I stamped this little bunny, I decided to replace the boat with the little heart. So I'm using the stamp cover as a template in drawing my little heart out there. Once I was happy with the illustration of my own of adding the heart out there, I'm using different shades of the Craft Angles liquid watercolor. Here I'm starting with the brown and then I'll be using beautiful different colors to add onto the bunny. So this is how my bunny looks after I've colored it, and now I shall be fussy cutting it. To create more elements, I'm going to now use Craft Angles vellum paper, which is 180 GSM translucent paper, which I'm going to die cut using the scallop circle die. So now I have three elements, which is the scallop circle die, the bunny and the panel, of course. So first of all, I'm going to affix this bunny onto the vellum paper. So I'm going to use the 3D foam tape and I now fix it. I shall be using the sentiments called love you and love and hugs. So I'm going to very simply just stamp it using the black dye ink. using the black dye ink, and now I'm going to color it using my alcohol markers, which are my latest possession of the Ohu markers. So I'm going to color it in few shades of brown, and this time I'm going to let the board be there and I'm going to stamp my sentiments on it. So this is how I finally stamp my sentiments called Love You Again, and I fussy cut it also. So now I'll be affixing it onto the bottom part of the slimline card, and now I'll be stamping few sentiments in the color yellow over the yellow hearts, and trust me, they'll start to show up once they dry. And the second sentiments in the color orange, and which is a shade of orange specifically called the poppy color by My Favorite Things inks. And lastly, I'm going to use the last sentiments for stamping again from the darkest pink I have in my stash by My Favorite Things again. Once my whole card is ready, I just affix it on the card base, which measures 3.5 by 8.5, and embellish it with some sequins. For my last card today, it's going to be a bonus of the rainbow cards. To create this one, I'm again going to use the stencil by Craft Angles, which is called the Heartfuls, which we've been using. So I'm going to affix it completely onto the panel so that it covers the whole of it. Now I shall be using a number of inks that I have in my stash. So I start with the picked raspberry, dried marigold, and wilted violet, and many other. So I'm starting to blend in with some pink, and I'm going in very gently, if you see, starting from the top. And I'm going to create colors and add them in a very radial shape. Starting with the pink, I will be going to different colors. So this is how my panel looks. Now I'm going to use Craft Angle's shimmer paste in silver. And this time I'm not going to put it completely onto the panel, but I'm going to use my finger and give it a very raw look by putting it on only onto very few hearts. Trust me, it's highly shimmery. So you don't want to put a lot of it on there so that the color gets vanished onto it, but take a very little speck of it and rub it only onto the few hearts. Trust me, it will give a very beautiful raw look there. So this is how my panel looks, and now I've mounted onto the card base by Craft Angles, which is called the Old Lace. Now it is time wherein I'll put a beautiful bold love sentiment, and for this I'm stacking it in three colors: pink, black and white, which I'm going to stack it using the liquid glue. So this is how I'm stacking, so that a little of black, a little of white will definitely show. And once it is done, I'm going to paste it and embellish it with a few other sequins. I hope you liked it. Please let me know in the comments below that how much you like these cards.